A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm George Adams here, CEO of Captivate Technology Solutions Limited. Um, I really do thank you all for taking the time to join me today. I want to talk to you about something that keeps business owners, executives, IT professionals awake at night, and that is cybersecurity. Now, I realize that for many people, the mere mention of cybersecurity can spark a lot of anxiety. But my goal here is not to overwhelm you with doom and gloom. Instead, I want to walk you through why cybersecurity should now be a core business survival issue, on par with things alongside cash flow, brand reputation, and normal day to day governance, and give you some practical insights into how you can better protect your organization. Now, if we start with the simple truth, we live in a hyper connected world. Everything from how we process payments to how we collaborate with colleagues happens online. And while the connectivity has brought us incredible efficiency, it also has made us more vulnerable. Now, if you think about it, the more doors and windows a house has, the more places a burglar can try and break in. And it's true. The more doors and windows you have in your house, the more chance you've got of a burglar to break in. Now, in the past, we tended to think of hackers as lone wolves, maybe someone trying to try their luck and they've got a bit too much time on their hand. Today it's a complete whole different ball game, and we're facing well-funded cybercrime syndicates, and some of these are even state-sponsored actors who operate with the precision of large corporations. They've got the budgets, they've got the teams, and they've already produced the roadmaps. And if they spot a gap in your defenses, they're going to exploit it. Now, maybe you're thinking, but we're a small business or we're not a high risk industry. I've heard this time and time again, and yet the data shows that small, mid sized businesses are actually some of the most frequent targets. Because hackers know these organizations often have fewer resources to devote to cybersecurity. That makes them a greater target to threat actors. So if you're flying under the radar, think again. No one is off the hook. One of the most common threats right now is ransomware. This is where criminals encrypt your files and demand payment. And usually it's in the form of cryptocurrency to unlock the access back to your files. Even if you pay, there's no guarantee you're going to get your data back. And I've seen businesses come to complete standstills, unable to process orders, serve clients, or even access critical documents to run their business. And it is a complete and utter nightmare scenario to be in. Then you flip the table and you've got a supply chain attack. This is where attackers target a vendor or partner you specifically as a business owner have to rely on to run your business. And then that compromised relationship will infiltrate your organization. It's like a Trojan horse. The breach doesn't come from your direct defenses, but it comes from your trusted external connection. And we've seen some high profile instances of these in the news, and the trends only keep growing. You've then got phishing. It remains a perennial problem at the moment. Emails that look incredibly authentic, sometimes even personalized to your role or industry, trick employees into clicking a malicious link or entering login credentials on a well structured fake website. Now, the next thing you know, the attacker has access to your network and is already ruining your infrastructure, and you have not got control of it. So you've then got to turn the table again and look at an insider threat to your business. Now, this can be malicious or accidental. Sometimes you might have an employee that's left the business, holds a bit of a stigma over other colleagues or the business as a whole, and tries to steal or sabotage your data. Other times, a well-meaning team member downloads a sketchy attachment or uses a weak password, unknowingly opening the door to an attack. And in many cases, human error is at the root of the breach. Now, if you're still unsure how big of a deal this is, consider the real world fallout element here. Financial losses can be staggering, and you that could go from paying ransoms and legal fees to covering the cost of downtime and recovery. Reputational damage might be even harder to quantify at this point. Now, when your customers lose trust in you, it can take years to rebuild. And with the data protection laws like GDPR, CCPA, so on and so forth, in effect, the legal implications here can be severe. Heavy fines, mandatory breach notifications, and legal issues that fly off the back of these can all come into play if you fail to safeguard personal data. I've seen organizations forced to lay off staff because of a cyber attack that drained their finances. I've also seen businesses struggle to maintain customer loyalty after a well publicized breach. And it's not just about IT headaches, it's about the very survival of your company. How are you going to protect that? That's why cybersecurity can't be treated as an afterthought ever. So it needs to be integrated into every strategic decision you and your other people make within your company. And that's from which software tools you use to how you physically and mentally train your employees. If we now pivot to the practical part of this conversation, what can you do starting tomorrow morning to improve your cyber posture? Now, first, you must assess your risk. It sounds simple, but many companies skip this step. Then you have to identify the data, systems, and processes that are absolutely mission critical. And then you need to ask yourself, if this information was to be stolen or corrupted, how would we recover? And that's not you, it's the business. How would the business recover from such issue happening? So that question alone can reveal where you need to focus your attention. Then you've got to invest in basic cyber hygiene. Now, by this, I mean, should be very, very basic, working from the ground upwards. And by this, I mean, you need to enforce your strong passwords. You need to roll out multi-factor authentication wherever it's possible and keep all software, operating systems, applications, firmware up to date. And you are going to be amazed how many breaches occur simply because a patch wasn't applied on time. You also then need to train your people. You can have the most advanced firewalls, intrusion detection systems in the world, but if your team members aren't aware of phishing red flags or best practices for data handling, you're still vulnerable. Regular training sessions, simulated phishing tests can help everyone stay connected and sharp and keep an eye out for these phishing attempts. Then you need to consider leveraging managed service security services. Now, if you don't have the resources to hire a full-time security team, an external provider can monitor your systems around the clock. They can respond to alerts and keep your security tools up to date. This is especially critical if your company is growing quickly and you need scalability. Finally, you need to develop and rehearse an incident response plan, also known as an IRP. If a breach happens, who's in charge of communication? How do you isolate the infected systems? And when do you involve enforcement or notify customers or even internal external shareholders? These decisions can't be made on the fly. They need to be mapped out in advance, and the quicker and more coordinated your response is, the less damage you're likely to sustain. If we move this conversation up a notch or two, cyber threats are always evolving. We're already seeing AI driven attacks that can craft highly convincing phishing emails or quickly find vulnerabilities in software. And deepfake technology is another area of concern where attackers can impersonate executives or public figures with really alarming realism at this point. It's a bit like an arms race. Every time we improve our defenses, attackers find new ways to work around them. But here's the silver lining: staying informed and proactive can make a huge difference. It's not about achieving a perfect security score because there's no such thing. Rather, it's about building resilience to what you've already got in place and bolstering that so that when, not if, an incident occurs, you're prepared to handle it swiftly and minimize the fallout. Now, before I wrap up, I want to emphasize one key point. Cybersecurity is a continuous journey. It should be treated as a continuous journey. The moment you check the box and say we're secure is the moment you stop being secure. So you need to flip that on its head at all times. Threats evolve, technology changes, and your business itself is always shifting. So make cybersecurity an ongoing conversation within your organization. Keep evaluating that, keep training, and keep investing in the right tools and partnerships. In the coming days, I'm going to be sharing more detailed insights, especially as we get ready to launch our best in class MSP podcast, where I'll dive a lot deeper into real world case issues, real case studies, and emerging trends. But for now, I hope this talk has given everybody that's tuned in a clearer sense of why cybersecurity matters, not tomorrow, today. So I really want to thank you all for spending these last, well, 12, 13 minutes or so. I hope it was very formative and you got a lot of information out of this. If you have any questions or want to learn more about how we can help, don't hesitate to reach out. and together we can build a safer digital future for all of us. Thanks very much. Bye bye.